be the result? This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. What is that knot which keeps the spirit and matter together?
Desire to enjoy and control.
Okay, that's correct. If you want to put it a little more precisely, what is it that by which we misidentify?
False ego.
Yes, the ahankar, the false ego, which is very subtle, very difficult to give up. Therefore, Prabhupada is writing, who can untie that knot? Krishna himself. Only he can untie that knot of false ego. This knot is called ahankar, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruitive action. Just wondering when this will take place.
The false ego coming from Krishna.
No.
Mind.
False ego, it comes from the various material elements at the time of creation. There is ahankar,
Mind.
yes, ahankar in the three modes, and from the ahankar in three modes, all the various elements and everything else is created. All that is there. But why we are subjected to ahankar? Why?
Because of desire to enjoy.
Whose desire?
My desire.
I am the culprit, no one else. So, that's the conclusion of these effects of hearing, and there's one more verse in the section. Ato vai kavayo nityam bhaktim paramaya muda vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyama sadam. Certainly, therefore, after hearing all the benefits of hearing about the Supreme Lord, what should one do? Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of God, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. So, having understood that these are all the effects of the practice of devotional service, someone practices devotional service with great delight. Now, is it possible to answer?
I'm checking if it's coming.
So, all these verses, especially from 16, 12th is usually not included, especially from 16 to 20, these are the various stages of devotional service. Okay, so it's quite clear. 16th verse talks about Mat Seva and Shraddha also. Shushushro Shraddha Dhanasya. So it begins with Adho Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha is also there. Then Shrantam Sukha is Bhajan Kriya, Nashta Praya, Shabadreshu, Anartha. Of course, there are overlaps. Okay, so 17th also has Anartha Nivritti. 18th is talking about Anartha Nivritti and Nishta, Bhaktir Bhakti Naishtaki. Okay, that's there, 18th verse. And then 19th verse has Ruchi and Asakti, 20th verse Bhava and 20th verse Prema also. So 20th verse has both Bhava and Prema. And 21st verse is actually talking about seeing the Lord face to face. Okay, so now Vishwanath Thakur, he splits some of these stages into further stages. And so this is what he says. So he gives 14 steps. Okay, so first he says Satam Kripa, Mat Seva, Shraddha and Guru Padashraya. He puts these four steps within the 16th verse. Okay, Satam Kripa is the mercy of the devotees, then Mat Seva, service to devotees, then Shraddha, faith, and Guru Padashraya, surrender to Guru. So he puts all these four within the 16th verse, and then again in 16th and the 17th verses he puts the desire for worship or hearing, Bhajaneshu Spriha. Bhajaneshu Spriha. And then in the 18th verse he puts three stages, and that is Bhakti, Anarthapagama and Nishtha. So three stages there. And 19th verse he puts Ruchi and Asakti. 20th verse Rati, Rati means Bhava, and Prema. And 2021 is Darshanam, seeing the Lord. And also he puts in the 20th verse as Hare Madhurya Anubhava, Madhurya Anubhava, experiencing the Lord's sweetness, that also he puts in the 20th verse. So in this way, he divides the 9 stages into 14 stages.
This thing is in Bhagavad Subodhini. Gauranga Darshan Prabhu has given 9 verses, 14 comparison with the verses.
Right. So basically this is Vishnu
Between Prema and then Hare Madhurya Anubhava, how they are all different?
How they different?
It's not the same stage. In Prema stage only you have...
Yeah, at a higher, we can say at a higher level of Prema, one experiences the Lord, seeing the Lord, experiencing the Lord's sweetness. They're all part of Prema.
But there are different stages in Prema.
Yes, of course, there are different stages in Prema. Okay. So now we have the last section of the chapter. Should we complete it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Mataji has question.
She has a question.
Yes.
Anyway, just I was asking, I forgot, we had discussed, I think, how to experience the sweetness of the Lord. Experiencing the Lord's sweetness.
Experiencing the Lord's sweetness, to understand how to experience, one has to come to Prema.
Means, my question is to see and enjoy the beauty or feel the love or what is that?
Well,
Or feel the mercy and love, feeling it. That's it. That's
well, at our stage, definitely we can have some experience. We are definitely having some experience of the Lord's reciprocation with our devotional service. That's why we are sitting here. Correct? We have some experience. The Lord is giving us some taste in our devotional practices. That's why we are able to continue. But what is being spoken of here is on the highest platform of Prema. That we will see in Narad Muni section. Narad Muni actually has an experience of that. Okay. But that's a very high platform. We can hope and pray that someday we'll come to that stage. So should we go ahead?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes. Completing 3 chapters is important. Okay. Now the last section is talking about the Lord's other incarnations, how the Lord manifests in various other incarnations and performs different activities. Okay, we'll go a little faster. Sattvam rajastama iti prakrutir yukta para purusha eka ihasya datte Stityadaye hari virincha hareti sanya Shreyam sitatra kalu sattva tanur ninamsyu. The transcendental personality of God, it is indirectly associated with 3 modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness and ignorance. and just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction. He accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Just a clarification of the point. Yes, so it's the said sattva here. Sattva tano. But here sattva tano refers to not only just goodness, but actually pure goodness. Because Vishnu is on the platform of pure goodness. He cannot be affected by sattva. So it's sattva, no doubt, but Shuddha sattva. So here it's being described how the Lord expands himself in the various gunavataras for the purpose of creation of the material world. And so Srila Prabhupada in brief is describing about the creation of this world, which will definitely be discussed in later parts of the Bhagavatam. Important point, towards the end of the purport Prabhupada writes, no demigod, however, can release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material existence. This can be done only by Vishnu. Mukti pradata sarvesha Vishnu eva na samshaya. Yes. Mukti pradata sarvesha Vishnu eva na samshaya. Prabhupada quotes this in 7.14 purport. Therefore, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Okay, so now to explain these different modes, he gives an analogy. I'm just reading the translation now. Firewood is a transformation of earth. Smoke is better than raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion is better than ignorance, but goodness is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truths. Okay, I think this is quite clear. So first of all, there is wood, then one begins a fire, initially there's smoke, and then afterwards there is the actual fire. So similarly, the raw wood is compared to ignorance. Then the fire with smoke is compared to passion. And the proper fire, that's compared to goodness. And I'm sure you've studied all this in the 14th chapter of the Gita, about the three modes. And also, Krishna speaks about the three levels of lust, karma. Remember that?
Womb and
in the 3rd chapter, Krishna speaks about lust, 3 degrees of lust.
yeah.
It's similar.
Yeah.
So, the lust in humans is compared to fire covered with smoke. Then the next level that is there in beasts and birds, that is compared to? Yes, the mirror covered by dust. And then finally coming to the trees, where the consciousness is very low, that is the embryo within the womb. So, similar, the 3 modes. "25. Somebody can please read the translations.
Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the 3 modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from all material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world."
Yes, so many Munaya in the past, they have performed devotional service to the Supreme Lord Adokshajam, and they became free from the material conditions, Sattvam, Vishuddham, Kshemaya, and so therefore those who follow in their footsteps, they also can get free from this material existence. Next.
Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions.
Okay, so those who want liberation, Mumukshavo, then they give up Gora Rupan Hitva. So they give up all the Gora Rupan, so all the forms of the demigods are said to be ghastly because they are involved with all material things, material affairs, so therefore one who's serious about liberation won't bother about all these demigods. Next.
Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny.
Okay, so those are in passion and ignorance. They worship demigods, forefathers for all these material benefits. Now we'll recite 28-29. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Paramjnanam, Vasudeva Parantapa, Vasudeva Parodharmo, Vasudeva Paragati. Translation.
In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion or dharma is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life.
Right, so ultimately the goal of everything what one does, the study of the Vedas, whether it's tapasya, yajna, dana, whatever one is doing, the ultimate goal is to realize Vasudev. Okay, continue, 13.
In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of Godhead, Vasudev, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy.
Okay, so for the purpose of creation, then the Lord, He created all the various energies and created the various material worlds. Okay, 31.
After creating the material substance, the Lord, Vasudev, expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is fully enlightened in his transcendental position.
Okay, so then He creates the universe, He enters into the universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He appears as if He is part of the universe, but He is always transcendental to the universe. Okay?
The Lord as Super Soul pervades all things just as fire permeates wood. And so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second.
Okay, so then the Lord expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, Super Soul, and He enters into all the various bodies. Everywhere He enters, as the Brahma Samhita says, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. So, Andantarastha means?
Inside every
Andantarastha. Universe, Brahmanda, and Paramanu, atom. So He enters everything. And so he enters everything, and that's the meaning of He appears to be of many varieties. Because He enters into so many different bodies. But He is the one Super Soul.
The Super Soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind.
But before that, the purport to text Harita is simply beautiful actually. So you can begin reading from as from wood fire can be manifested.
As from wood fire can be manifested, or as butter can be churned out of milk, so also the presence of the Lord as Paramatma can be felt by the process of legitimate hearing and chanting of the transcendental subjects which are specially treated in Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and Vedanta.
Okay, two nice examples. So just like there is wood within fire, can you see it? Can you see fire within wood?
No.
No, you cannot see. Can you see butter within the milk?
No.
No. What has to be done? Some process is required for it to become manifest. So similarly, Paramatma can you see? No, we cannot see. But yet the Paramatma can be manifested by the process of legitimate hearing and chanting. Go ahead.
The Lord can be realized
Okay, yes.
can be realized through the oral reception of the transcendental message, and that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from the wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace.
Mm.
His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot.
Amazing purport. Huh? His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected. The messages injected. But what is required on our part? Receptive ear. That is what is required. Then the message gets injected. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus the divine existence is gradually realized. Okay, continue.
The supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Thus, the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness.
Yes, so this verse is describing the purpose of the Leela avatars, which was one of the questions of the sages. So here he's answering one of these questions as to why the Lord appears in his various Leela avatars. So why does he appear? To reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Okay, that's the number of Bhaktan purports of the first canto, second chapter, Srimad entitled Divinity and Analysis. So you can go through these remaining verses. We didn't read so much of the purports, but you can go through them. If you have any doubts, you can ask tomorrow. Tomorrow's chapter, the third chapter, is basically facts and figures. There's not much of philosophical understanding. So it's basically a list of incarnations, types of incarnations. So you can go through. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sai Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Srila Prabhupada ki